Hi folks, time for yet another haul. I have been profligate. I've sinned against the intent I had to ease off on the book buying. And it's mainly because I have a fear of missing out. I fear, rightly I think, actually, that if I don't go to my particularly productive locations for book hauling, if I don't go, some other bugger will get them and I'll never see them. And at the moment I can't live with the possibilities that might happen. It could get expensive. So I actually went on Friday. I quite often pop out at lunchtime. Pop out being a flexible term. It was more like 2 hours this last week. So these are all from Friday the 27th of October, so fairly recently. So I went to the Oxam bookshop in Henley first. Was not much there, so I only spent 5 minutes in there. Took some quick video footage, which you'll see as I go, and I got 4 books. Right, we'll see what there is. From a quick scan, there wasn't an awful lot of interest, you'll see. I just got a copy of Fahrenheit 451, so I don't need that. Don't fancy that. Ooh, hello. I'm missing this one, so I've got the other 3, but I do not have this one. So that's handy. I've got all the Donaldson books. Not interested in those. All those. These are all fancy. Now then, that's interesting. So that's the Greg Mandel books. I've read them, but I don't have them. So I'm definitely going to snap that up. Don't need any of those. That's interesting. That's some masterworks I don't have. So let's go. So Peter F. Hamilton, The Nano Flower. So this is the 2nd or 3rd of the Greg Mendel books. I think it's the 3rd. It's definitely not the 1st, that much I know. I think it's the 3rd. It's not a first edition or anything, it's a reissue from 1990, doesn't say, but it's the like 12th reprint. It's the first edition and 12th reprint. I'd like to get these in hardback. I don't think they were issued in the UK in hardback. You can get them in US edition hardbacks. With some pretty ropey covers, I think, but I'm not in any mad rush. I have read them all. There are 3. They were the first books that he wrote, so they came before the Night's Dawn trilogy, and they're quite good. They're sort of a nearish future sort of corporate anarchist sort of Britain. There's a rich billionaire-esque owner. So Julia Evans, billionaire-esque owner of. I don't know why she isn't just a billionaire. Julia Evans, billionaire, owner of Event Horizon, has for 15 years been the power behind England's economic renaissance. So she hires Greg Mandel to go find out what's going on. I haven't read them for a long time, but I remember quite enjoying them, and they're sort of a bit more grounded than some of Peter F. Hamilton's other work, which is often set in the far future, off in the galaxy somewhere. This was very much earthbound. I quite enjoyed that. So we found a John Varley, Blue Champagne. This is Berkeley science fiction, so it's a US. So I think that this is short stories. Yes, it is. So there's 7 or 8 short stories in there. So that's quite nice. It's in pretty good condition. No damage to the spine. And in that same shop I also found a nice turn of the century vintage science fiction masterworks in the black spine. I prefer these ones. Bring the Jubilee by Ward Moore. It's a classic alternative world story, apparently. Hodge Backmaker lives in 20th century New York, a city of cobblestones, gas lamps and 10-story skyscrapers. So quite different. In his world, the Confederate South won its independence in the Civil War and North America is divided, with slavery and serfdom still facts of life in the Confederacy, and New York a provincial backwater. Bring the Jubilee stands alongside Keith Roberts' Purveyne as science fiction's finest explorations of alternative history. So I like a bit of alternative history, so I might bump that up my TBR pile at some point quite soon. That sounds intriguing. And Brian Aldiss says on the front, a classic alternative world story. Thanks for that valuable contribution, Brian. And I was pleased in a universe sort of slotting into place and a completed set. sort of way, rather than any great desire to read the book. I will read it, but I've been missing it for ages, and so I was pleased to get it. So that was Becky Chambers' A Closed and Common Orbit. It's got a bit of it's in good condition apart from it's just a bit bent where it's got crushed on the shelf, I think, or maybe in somebody's bag in a previous life. Which has got a bit of a bend on the corner there, which isn't going to be possible to do much with, I don't think. So the first one of these, there are four books and maybe a novella in this kind of Wayfarer series, and was quite often described as cozy science fiction, and it kind of is. The first one certainly is. That's only one of them that I've read. It's I think I described it in my inexpert review as like a warm hug of a book. There's no plot, or virtually no plot, and it's all character-led. But I quite like the characters. I enjoyed spending time with the characters. But they were very engaging, and it reminded me of Firefly, the TV show, and a little bit of The Expanse. I mean, it's nothing like The Expanse from a plot point of view, but from the sort of found family, the crew of the Rocinante type thing. There was that kind of vibe going on, only maybe a bit gentler. So this is the second of the four. I was missing this one. I picked up all three of the others in one hit, but they didn't have the second book in it. And I thought, oh, I'll just turn up. And that was like 6 months ago, and it just hasn't. But now it has. So that sound that you heard on Friday lunchtime was the universe clicking back into place. Happy days. So those four, and that's really all there was. They don't have as good a turnaround as the shop in Woodley for some reason. I don't know why.
Right, so we're back at the Oxam bookshop in Woodley again. There seems to have been an influx of things. There's quite a lot of anthologies by the look of it. Don't have that. All that. So I'm not interested in horror. Time to Tiger, although which is Stars My Destination, although it's a nice cover, but the spine's in pretty poor condition. I'll probably get it. Don't have these. I don't think. I need to check my spreadsheet. These are in very nice condition, actually. That's rather nice as well. Plenty for me to get on that shelf. Another nice cover, Panther Nebula Awards. Again, I need to check. I don't think I have that. I do have that. Now I've got Tides of Light, but I don't think I have Across the Sea of Suns. I will need to check. I don't have any Elizabeth Bear. So that might be something to get. It's actually a nicer copy of Consider Phoebus than I've got, but there's not really any point in buying it. If it was the first edition hardback, I would be on it like a bonnet. So there's a couple of nice Richard Cowper and Michael Coney there. Those would be interesting. There's a couple of Delaney's. Someone's dropped their collection in here. Now, I've already got that. I'm wondering now if that's in. I think mine's in quite nice condition. This is going to be expensive. Got plenty of Farmer. I think I've got, unless that's a Riverworld one, is it? Yeah, see, I'll check. I don't think I have that. Well, it's not in very nice condition, so maybe I'll leave it. I do not have that. Generally speaking, I don't particularly like the yellow Masterworks, but if I see one that I just haven't got, then I'll get it. There's a couple of Fritz Liebers there, which would probably be quite nice if I haven't already got them. I don't think I have.
Got some books for you, should I take them over?
We're not taking donations today.
No. Reason for that?
Because we're full up at the back.
Right, you are.
I don't have those. I mean, I do have that, but that's a nicer vintage copy. It's a bit flaky, a bit faded, so I don't think I'll bother. That's all the McCaffreys in the world again. That's actually in nice condition. I think I'll get that. Don't have that. That's a nice copy of Beastmaster as well. It's a mostly fantasy. Oh, for a minute there I thought that was the pan lozenge, but still I'll have that. That's a nice copy of City. Don't think I have that. Some really nice vintage science fiction in here today. Never heard of. That looks like fantasy to me.
£10 note. Yeah, certainly had, yeah, 10 certainly. A couple of 10s.
That's a nice Greg Egan. Oh, look at those bad boys. 2 Hanu Raya Namies in hardback. Definitely having those. Right, I need to go back over these shelves and pick out the ones I want. Success.
Talking of the shop in Woodley, they had, this is the second or third time this has happened in the last month or two, somebody drop, and I'm not sure if it's the same person or just randomly two or three different people, but they had some of them drop what must have been their entire science fiction collection, or a large chunk of it, on the shop there, and they had a bunch of it out on the shelves. The shelves were full, so there's probably more of it in the back, so I will, and I left a bunch there, mainly because I just couldn't justify the expense to myself. So I've tried to be kind of picky, and I've picked, for the vintage books, just the ones that were in really nice condition, and with little or no damage to them. I don't know they're mint exactly, but you know, in really good, really nice condition. And a couple other things that were of interest to me, and I left a bunch of stuff behind. So there are several anthologies. I've been adding, as I described it in my November TBR video last week, been adding a bit of short story fibre to my science fiction diet, so pleased to get these. So this one is the year's best science fiction. There are a lot of book series called the year's best science fiction. It's a bit confusing, but this is one edited by Harry Harrison and Brian Aldiss. This is the first, as the name suggests. It's number 1. Quite a jazzy, I think, late 60s, early 70s cover. It's priced in shillings and pence. 1968 it looks like. So let's see, that has got a bunch of, so these are short stories in this case, so they've got there's a bunch of them. Stories by Harrison, Silverberg, Sladek, Ben Bova. It must be a very early Ben Bova if it was published in 1968. A. Bertram Chandler, J.G. Ballard is a long title. The assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy considered as a downhill motor race. So I have no idea what that's about. Fritz Lieber, Keith Lormer, Harlan Ellison. So lots of, I guess, new waivers in that. That sounds good. I shall be happy to add that to my shelves. And I don't recall now, and the video will tell us, I suppose, whether there were 2 and 3 on the shelves as well. But for some reason I only picked up 4. Same series, year's best science fiction, number 4, edited by Harrison and Aldiss, same as the first one. And this has got stories by, this is from 1970, by Aldiss, Dish, Naomi Mitchison, Silverberg, Robin Scott Wilson, Gene Wolfe. Those are the only ones that I've heard of. But again, you know, 10 or 11 stories in there. This was would have been published in 1971, I imagine, since it was looking back at 1970. Yep. Again with the cover. And it's a pretty tight condition. There's a couple of dings on the spine, but it's very neat and tidy. It's not bent, it's not creased, it's just got chips on the paintwork. Number 5, year's best science fiction, number 5. Same guys editing, Harrison and Aldiss. Another jazzy 70s cover. And again, it's in really nice condition, a couple of chips. So either 2 and 3 weren't there, or they were but they were looking a bit ropey, or I was just stupid and didn't pick them up. It could well be that, actually. So again, stellar cast. You've got Robert Sheckley, Arthur C. Clarke, James Blish, Norman Spinrad, Kingsley Amis, Thomas Dish, and 11 other writers. So there must be a decent chunk of stories in this book. Yeah, it looks like about 15, maybe a bit more. So quite short stories. I like a short story. If I'm reading a short story, I don't want it to be too chunky. So, you know, sort of 10, 20 pages is great for me. Again, it's got a few chips, but not too bad. So those are cool. I'm pleased to have those, and they're a nice set of covers. I don't know how many years they did. I'll have to do a bit of research. If I find out before I publish this, I'll let you know. But those are quite cool, and I got a couple of, while we're in anthology land, a couple of others. For some reason, it's only the 4th one, Nebula Award Stories number 4, edited by Paul Anderson, published by Panther. Again, it's in pretty nice condition. It's got a bit of damage at the top and a couple of chips on the spine, but is otherwise in pretty nice condition. So the Nebula Awards of the Science Fiction Writers of America are among the most coveted trophies in the world of science fiction. So the writers who win them, or who are shortlisted, are the acknowledged masters of the form. This time around, they are Terry Carr, Richard Wilson, Anne McCaffrey. So I wonder which Anne McCaffrey story is in here. Yeah, Dragon Rider. So I think that's one of the first of the Dragon Riders of Pern stories for which she won a bunch of awards, including, clearly, Nebula. So I only have the 4th one. I don't know how many there were. And I also picked up this one, Final Stage. The ultimate, it's a bold claim, Final Stage, the ultimate science fiction anthology. So according to the back here, between them, the contributors have won all of the awards bestowed by science fiction. 17 Hugos, 10 Nebulas, and the John Campbell Memorial Award. In this very special original collection, each writer is at the top of his form, each attempting to create the ultimate on a given theme. So it's got Asimov, Anderson, Silverberg, Ellison, Pohl, Aldous, Harrison, Dick, and others. So those are the big guys. I don't know what the deal with this is. Is it just about... Okay, so it's got different... So they would get... it looks like they were given a topic. So Frederick Pohl has First Contact, Paul Anderson has The Exploration of Space, then there's Immortality, Inner Space, Robots and Androids, Strange Children, Future Sex, hello, there's 2 stories in that category, by Joanna Russ and Harlan Ellison. Space Opera, Alternative Universes, which has got Robert Silverberg, no surprise, The Uncontrolled Machine, After the Holocaust, and Time Travel. So there's a whole collection of like science fiction tropes there, each of which has one or more stories associated with it. Time Travel's got Philip K. Dick. A little something for us Tempinauts, apparently. So that sounds really great. And then I have a few more, let's see. And now this again is probably me being an idiot, but I seem to have got the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of these and not the first, and I'm almost certain that they had the first on the shelf, so I don't know why I didn't get it. Nova 2, so Harry Harrison editing again, seems to put himself about. This is in really nice condition, it's in the Sphere, so I won't read them all out, but there's a stellar cast, you can have a look, stellar cast of short story writers on that list. And this was published in 1972. Then I have Nova 3, again in the Sphere, nice condition, with wraparound art. Some of the usual suspects, Sheckley, Aldous, Spinrad, a few others. And then we've got number 4, again edited by Harry Harrison. I don't know how many there were, how long it went on for, I need to check. It's got Malzberg, Aldous, Naomi Mitchison again, 13 scintillating new science fiction stories. Yeah, so I got 2, 3 and 4, but not 1 for some reason. I'll put it down to just being in a rush. And then I found an Alfred Bester, Tiger, which of course is Stars My Destination. It was retitled. It's a nice cover, Penguin, late 60s I think, because I think it's priced in shillings and pence. Yeah, 4 and 6 on the front, so say 67. So, you know, it's a pretty elderly book, and it's a bit creased on the spine, and honestly, if I didn't... I just got it because I don't have a copy of this book, and I hear it's very good, so I wanted to check it out. At some point I would like to upgrade that, but it'll do for now. And I found a Gregory Benford, as I think I've said, I just hoover these up now wherever I find them. I think this is the 2nd in the Galactic Centre series, of which I've got 4 or 5 now. I think I think I'm only missing the last one and the first one, so I think I have 4 now. So let's see what it says. So for 12 years, the interstellar craft Lancer had sped across the galaxy in search of the source of an astonishing radio broadcast picked up on Earth in English. Nigel Walmsley is the hero of this. I think he was the guy in the first one. So I think, yeah, In the Ocean of the Night was the first one, and Across the Sea of Suns is the second. Bit of good old-fashioned hard science fiction with a tinge of space opera, I think. Then I found a couple of nice books. Michael Coney, Winter's Children, in nice condition. Very nice. Unbroken spine, no damage. So I don't know if this is set on Earth or elsewhere. Well, it looks like it's set on Earth. It's got so this is like a new ice age type thing. The ice stretched all around, encompassing the world as far as an iceberg could travel, etc., etc., etc. So there's cannibals, tribes. So that was published. This is a first edition paperback, first published in 1974. And then I also found a book by Richard Cowper that I haven't ever heard of, and again it's in fabulous condition. I think it's one of his earliest books. Cul-de-sac it's called. Intriguing cover. It's in Quartet, which is not a imprint that I've heard of. So this is set far future Earth, 2,000 years after the final Holocaust which drove man deep underground, a ghostly deserted landscape peopled only by the diligent robots who, century after century, silently harvest grain which no man will eat. Up into this eerie world comes Mel, a questioning young roamer who has disobeyed the law which says he must never venture into or beyond the lost levels. So it sounds a little bit like Logan's Run. But anyway, it's in very nice condition, and it was published in 1972. So I don't know if that predates his other work, or it's certainly among his earlier works. So I think it might have been Matt at Science Fiction Reads. I think I've seen him talking about Julie E. Cernada, probably pronouncing that wrongly, Cernada maybe. And this is In the Company of Others, which is a standalone book as I understand it, a singleton, so it's not part of a series. So when humans set out to explore the universe, they found a number of planets suitable for colonising. The one thing that they didn't find was intelligent life, and so the terraforming begins. But the technicians made one all-important mistake by introducing the alien Quill to worlds where they did not belong. The Quill was supposed to be destroyed when the crews finished their work, but some survived, multiplied and mutated until they were no longer harmless, they were deadly. So that sounds like a colonisation gone wrong type shizzle. And then, whilst I don't like the Yellow Spine Masterworks, if I see one in nice condition and it's a book that I don't have any other copy of, then I'll grab it for now. Why not? I've got several. Jack Finney's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or the Body Snatchers, beg your pardon, which obviously ultimately became the Invasion of the Body Snatchers movie. So this was published 1955 originally. I was pleased to find I've got The Quantum Thief in paperback by Hanny Ryan Army, and so that's the second one, the Fractal Prints, in a nice Skolax hardback, really nice condition. A couple of creases on the spine, but nothing tragic, and it's clean. It's a nice cover. I really like that, and it's described as inventive, exotic, densely plotted and compelling. Actually, that was about the Quantum Thief, but I gather it's a bit of a handful of a book, so I'm intrigued to read that at some stage. And then there's the third one, The Causal Angel. I think they're a set of three, like a trilogy, starting with the Quantum Thief. And again, it's the same set. It's lovely. I did have a look to see if you can get the first one, Quantum Thief, in the same livery. You can certainly get it in hardback, but it's bright red, so it doesn't match. So I'm not in a mad rush, and you pay quite a big amount of money for it. Not like loads, but £15-20 or something, which is more than the £2.49 that these cost me each. So those will look nice on the shelf, as well as being good to read at some point. And then I almost didn't get this, and then I had a closer look at it, and I thought, ooh, that sounds interesting. So it's Harlan Ellison's, Harlan's World, Media Harlan's World, which is from what I gather from a quick scan of the first few pages, is like a concept book. So he's kind of set the parameters for this world, and so there's a map in the front which I think he's put together, and then he's invited people to sort of contribute to the sort of the world building. So there's pieces by Harlan Ellison at the beginning, Hal Clement, Paul Anderson, Larry Niven, Frederick Pohl, and sort of the specs. So this is the sort of basic concepts: astrophysics and geology, meteorology, oceanography, geography, nomenclature. So they're really kind of going into depth about the geology and geography of the world. And then there's a sort of minutes of the concept seminar with Thomas Dish, Frank Herbert, Silverberg, Sturgeon, with Ellison moderating. And then there are stories. So part 5, but a couple of hundred pages in, are a bunch of short stories which presumably are set on this world. So that sounds fascinating. I don't know if it's any good, but I really like the sound of it. Let me know if you know anything about it. And I found another Greg Egan in the trade paperback. It seems to be quite common to find them. What's it called? Child's Ladder? Not sure. So, 20,000 years, every observable phenomenon in the universe has been successfully explained by the Sarenpet rules. Now, Cass has stumbled across an entirely different kind of physics, and she has travelled 370 light years to Mimosa Station, a remote experimental facility, in the hope of bringing this tantalising alternative to life. So I think that experiment goes badly wrong from what I can gather on the back, and the thing that she uncovers starts eating worlds. A couple more vintage books here. So we've got Fritz Lieber, Night of the Wolf. And then in the last haul, I had an Andre Norton book, the name of which escapes me. Lord of Thunder, was it? Lord of something, anyway. And which was the second in the Beastmaster series. So I found, I'm going to get it, bear with. So Beastmaster was the most recent acquisition, and then Lord of Thunder, which has the same kind of yellow and orange kind of theme to the livery, and is same set at the back. So it's a Peacock science fiction, would have been published in 1968. Okay, but yeah, nice set. I found a China Mayville embassy town. I've read 2 of his books. So Perdido Street Station, which I liked, but I'm not sure that weird fiction is for me, and then The City in the City, which is about 2 cities which exist in the same physical volume, and they're in slightly sort of out of phase worlds. That's really good. So I don't know what this is about. I won't trouble you with the blurb on the back, but this is in really nice condition. So it's Jack McDevitt's Polaris. 60 years ago, the space yacht Polaris was found deserted. The fate of its pilot and passengers a mystery. So that sounds like a sort of Marie Celeste type thing. And then we have Clifford Simac. I'm kind of collecting them in the 80s Methuen livery, but I don't have City in that, and this is a nice vintage, and it's in good condition. Nice image on the back too. So this is an Ace, Alexei Panshin's Rite of Passage, which I hear a lot of people talking about but haven't read. It's in the Sphere. It's not in brilliant condition. It's a bit creased on the spine, but it'll do for now. Robert Charles Wilson, Bios. I've only read one of his books, Darwinia, which I really enjoyed the first kind of third of, and then I sort of lost the plot in the back end of it. So on the back here it says it's the 22nd century, interstellar travel is possible, but colossally expensive. So humankind's efforts are focused on the only nearby Earth-like world. Isis is rich with plant and animal life, but every molecule of it is spectacularly toxic to humans. The whole planet is a permanent hot zone. James Tiptree Jr.'s 10,000 Light Years from Home, in a nice, pretty good condition Ace. So it's a US edition. It's got a bit of damage on the bottom there. These are short stories. That's the last one. Thank you for watching. Let me know if any of those grab your attention, if they take your fancy, or if you've read any of them that you particularly recommend I pull forward onto my TBR pile. The next weekend, which will be the first weekend in November, I'm going to St Albans for the weekend, and I have obviously already scoped out the bookshop possibilities there, so there will probably be some haulage action whilst I'm away, if my wife lets me. We'll see. Anyway, thank you as always for watching, and until the next time, bye for now.